Valentine morning. Welcome to Unity of Joplin. I have been doing my best to put out love bombs, good thoughts, good vibes, the whole bit on this day of love, and I hope that you will join me. We are going to start this morning with our social media check-in. I love your light at Unity of Joplin. Would you tweet that out, put it on your Facebook page as you get ready to start your watch party for the service? I love your light at Unity of Joplin. And if you read the e-letter, you saw that Gordon shared a little bit about our special opening musician today, Amanda Felix. We will hear from her right now.
Hold on, just a little longer. Stay strong. Through the pain you'll prosper. Look around you. Take some time to wonder. Stand solid. With every battle conquered. Reach out for my hand, I'll pull you close and help you stand up on your own. If you stumble off the road and you feel lost, just know you'll never be alone. It's gone. The darkest stays defeated. Look around you. Take that breath you needed. 'Cause life is long, and you rise and you fall with every season. Reach out for my hand, I'll pull you close and help you stand up on your own. If you stumble off the road and you feel lost, just know you'll never be alone.
Ah, that was beautiful. And we are so glad that you found your way to Unity of Joplin in Joplin, Missouri. I'd like to introduce to you our music team that is actually on the scenes in Joplin, although we certainly appreciate Amanda's offering there. We are so happy to have John and Gary and Jerry stepping up, showing up each week with such special music. And of course, we're always grateful for Michael and his ability to kind of coordinate all the tech and behind the scenes work that takes. We are indeed blessed. Thank you, guys. Good to see you. Our trustee of the day today is Jefferson Myers, our board president, and he's hanging out in the Facebook chat, ready to answer any questions you have and holding the high watch for this service with all of us today. And again, I'm Ann Leach. I'm the platform assistant, and we will be hearing from Reverend Gordon for our meditation and lesson today. And we are blessed by all these helpers and blessed by your presence with us on this, kind of snowy, cold day. If you would like to get a jump start on sharing your tithe and love offering, you can do that right now. You can head over to unityofjoplin.org, hit that donate button, and give safely and securely. We also welcome your gift via text at the number on the screen. And we are still accepting snail mail. It may take a while to get to us with the weather conditions, but we are open to receive however you choose to give. And we will bless these gifts a little bit later in the service. Just a couple of announcements today. We've had lots of calls about, can we become a warming station? And we're so blessed to find that one of our neighbors very close by is already doing that. So we would like to show some support and help that way. The Mini Hackney Community Center, right on Main Street, 110 South Main. They are opening tonight through Tuesday. You guys, they could use anything you could give. Your time, your treasure, whether that be food, they are serving food, bottled water, blankets, hygiene products. If you could find it in your heart to step out and go out in this cold weather to help them help others, it would be much appreciated.
Sorry, Ann, that's a little inaccurate. This is from yesterday, so they're open now.
Oh, they are open now. Wonderful, wonderful, good. There's a phone number there. If you don't get an answer right away, keep trying. I'm sure, hopefully, that they're overwhelmed by the need and are busy helping others. But let them know that Unity of Joplin is joining them in supporting those in our community who, there are so many, you guys, that need warmth. Okay. If you yourself have that kind of need, or if there's anything that we can do to support you through this weather, please reach out to Michael, to Gordon, to unityofjoplin.org. We'll do our best to help. And our Earth Care team is continuing Meatless Monday. Oh my gosh, Novella, I had that Chile Relleno, what is it? How do you pronounce it, Gordon?
Relleno.
Relleno, yes. It was so good. It was really great. So if you have a recipe to share, please do that. You can find what we've got going right now at unityofjoplin.org//Meatless Mondays. And Novella wrote a really nice description of why we're doing this in the e-letter. So please review that and join in. Okay. All right. If you are not doing anything, stick around after the service, have a cup of coffee with us, join us in some virtual fellowship here on Zoom. We would love to hear how things are going for you, any prayer requests you might have, and just any news of the day. Okay? All right. We'd love to see you. And now we have the opportunity to just kind of take a collective breath and settle into the service this morning. And we will begin that with the reading of the daily word, and Michael will share that today.
Yes, and surprise, the word is love. I have God's love in my heart. I express that love today. Today is a day to reaffirm the love of God in my heart, the love inherent within my being. This love is wonderful, for it contains the perfect fulfillment of every need. I have God's love in my heart. This love energizes my being and brings me into fuller realization of health and vitality. I have God's love in my heart. This love radiates from me and casts a warm glow over every relationship in my life. I have God's love in my heart. This love draws to me every needed material blessing. I have God's love in my heart. In this love, I am composed and serene, confident of the right outworking of every situation. This love in my heart has been given to me to express and to share. As I do, I am blessed with the satisfaction of knowing that I am living life to its fullest. I have God's love in my heart. I have everything. I express that love today.
Yes, and every day. If you've got God's love in your heart and you're expressing love and appreciation today, drop into the Facebook chat who comes to your mind and heart right now, and let's send them a love bomb of love and support. We have some special music, thanks to Gary, John, and Jerry, coming up. And that will be followed by our meditation with Gordon, and then another special song by the team, and then our lesson. So sit back, open your heart, and receive these gifts.
No matter what they tell us, no matter what they do, no matter what they teach us, what we believe is true.
No matter what they call us, however they attack, no matter where they take us, we'll find our own way back.
I can't deny what I believe. I can't be what I'm not. I know there's love forever. I know no matter what.
If only tears were laughter, if only night was day, if only prayers were answered, then we would hear God say,
No matter what they tell you, no matter what they do, no matter what they teach you, what you believe is true.
and I will keep you safe and strong and sheltered from the storm. No matter where it's barren, our dream is being born. matter where they no matter how they judge us, I'll be everyone you need. No matter if the sun don't shine or if the skies are blue, no matter what the ending, my life began with you. I can't deny what I believe. I can't be what I'm not. I know this love's forever. That's all that matters now, no matter
Ah, so nice to hear you guys singing together. Beautiful song. No matter what, we know that the power of love is alive in our hearts. And so we take a moment now and turn within to our heart center. And I invite you, if you are comfortable wherever you are, close your eyes, take a breath. Through the power of your imagination, imagine a light in your head that gently sinks down into your heart center. Breathing into this heart. We are anchored in the power of love. A love that Jesus said passes all understanding. A love that transcends human emotion. It is the love that unites us one to another, one to all creation. And regardless of what the world may tell us or what others may believe, in this place, this sacred place of love, we are truly one. For in this sacred place of love, there is only one presence and one power. Call it God, call it the all, call it love. It is the only true thing, the only reality. This power of love that God is has carried humanity through every obstacle. It has allowed people throughout the ages to rise above their circumstances, to rise above others that may be trying to hold them down, to let their light shine, to let their voices be heard, to let wounds be healed, fences torn down, and bridges built. We say in unity, there is only one presence and one power in the universe, God the good omnipotent. We could just as easily say, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, love omnipotent. One of the things that I can do is send a blessing of love to all the world. I send blessings of love to my family, to my friends, to all who are part of our Unity family. I extend that blessing of love to all who are serving in our community in so many ways. To all who are receiving those services. Those who are sheltering from the cold. Those who are being treated in our hospitals. Those who are being helped in any way. For I know it is just as important to receive as it is to give, and to give as it is to receive. By giving and receiving with love, I am engaging and participating in the flow of life, in the flow of spirit. As I move into a time of silent contemplation, I send a blessing of love to the entire world. Love without judgment. Love without requirement. Love unconditional to the world. And as I give forth love, I feel a love from beyond anything I can comprehend, filling my being, fanning my light, that I may be a beacon of love. And so I say, thank you, Mother God, that I am anchored in the arms of love. And so it is, and so may it be. Amen.
Love changes everything, hands and faces, earth and sky. Love changes everything, how you live and how you die. Love can make the summer fly, or a night seem like a lifetime. Yes, love changes everything. Now I tremble at your name. Nothing in the world will ever be the same. Love changes everything. Days are longer, words mean more. Love can break the strongest heart. Pain is deeper than before. Love will turn your world around, and that world will last forever. Yes, love changes everything, brings you glory, brings you shame. Nothing in the world will ever be the same. Off into the world we go, planning futures, shaping years.
Hey, everybody, let's send our musicians some love. This is how you do it on Zoom. Let's send them some love. You know, it's probably hard to be a musician, I would imagine, not right now, because you don't get that feedback of applause and appreciation. But Gary, Jerry, and John want you to know how much we appreciate you and the gift of your music. And Amanda, if you're out there somewhere watching, know that we send you our love to a Joplin native. So cool to have a Joplin person as a guest musician. Well, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And we are continuing our series on Black History Month. We're looking at some of our Black Unity ministers that have blessed us so much through the years. Last week, we looked at the life and teachings of Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman, who was Unity's first Black minister. And gosh, way back in, I think she was ordained in 1954, if I remember right. And we've come a long ways over the years. Today, we're going to talk about another one you probably have heard of, but I bet did not know was an ordained Unity minister. You know her as Della Reese. You may remember her as the boss angel Tess on the TV series Touched by an Angel. But she had quite a life beyond that. So let me share with you a little bit about her. Della Reese was her birth name, Delloreese, all one word. Della Reese Patricia Early was born in the Black Bottom neighborhood of Detroit in 1931 on July 6th. Her father was a steel worker. Her mother was a Cherokee Native American cook. And she had a typical childhood for that time, labor family, living in Detroit, growing up in the church. They were very much a part of their church. And when she was 6 years old, she began singing in church. And on weekends after church, she and her mother had a tradition of going to the movies. So from a very young age, she was influenced by cinema, by performing, by stories that could be told through song and movie. And it influenced her so much that at 13 years old, she began directing her church's children's choir. And within a couple months, she was directing the Detroit Children's Choir. Quite an accomplishment for a 13-year-old girl. She also began acting in church and neighborhood plays. And also at 13, she was discovered and hired by Mahalia Jackson to join her gospel choir. 2 years later, she became the first member of her family to graduate high school. And that same year, she formed her own group, the Meditation Singers. It was just becoming popular when her mother died. And her father got a new girlfriend, and she decided to leave home. And over the next couple of years, she continued to sing and continued to be active in the arts community in Detroit. She also worked as a truck driver, an elevator operator, a dental receptionist. But through it all, through all of the struggles of trying to establish a life when she really wasn't even an adult yet, she never once stopped singing. And it wasn't too much longer before she was approached to sign a recording contract with Jubilee Records. She recorded 6 albums of jazz and gospel music. And then in 1957, her original song entitled "And That Reminds Me" hit the top 20 in the United States. In 1960, she was nominated for a Grammy for her song "Someday You'll Want Me to Want You." And now the national recording companies began seeking her out in earnest. And she formed a band and an R&B group called the Vandellas. I had heard of them. I did not know that was her group. It was the name came from a combination of Van Dyke Avenue, which is one of the streets in Detroit, and of course her own name, Della. About that same time, she also began appearing on TV shows. She guest starred on The Mod Squad, McCloud, Sanford and Son, Designing Women, The Young and the Restless, and because you could not be a television personality in those days without this, she was on several episodes of The Love Boat. But her big break the thing that really put her on the charts occurred in 1991. But it didn't start out as a good thing. She went through a dark night of the soul. Her friend and confidant, Red Fox, died. She had been a friend of his for many years, and she was overcome with grief. And she was struggling through that process. When she was approached by CBS to take a part, to be a guest star in one episode of a TV show called Touched by an Angel, she signed the contract for one episode. She was so popular that they kept her on for the entire first season. But CBS made some bad decisions at the end of that first season. They believed that it was too diverse a show for that time, that it was too religious, and so they pulled it and canceled the series after the first season. But then a miracle started happening. Because those angels on that show had touched the hearts of a lot of people. And the letters began pouring into CBS headquarters by truckloads. And so a year later, they put the show back on the air, where it remained for another 11 seasons. In her personal life, Della had several marriages early on. None of them really worked out very well. But then she met a producer and a writer named Franklin Thomas Lett. They fell in love and were married clear up until 2017, when Della made her transition and had 4 children. Della had a secret that she didn't share with very many people until she became active in ministry. It was a secret that she had inherited from her mother and that she had passed down to her children. And that was a genetic disorder that affected the pituitary gland. And one of the effects of that was she was prone to aneurysms. And when she was pretty young, her kids were young adults and late in their late teens, she had a stroke and ended up in the hospital. And the doctors told her she would not survive. She shared that story on Unity Online Radio a while back. And she said she was laying there in her hospital bed, and day after day, every morning, this doctor would come in and tell her what the odds were of her surviving, and they were not good. The first day that he came in, they were like 8%. And the next day he said, well, I'm sorry to say, but you've got about a 6% chance of recovery. And the next day, you've got about a 4% chance of recovery. She laid there and she realized that this doctor was not doing her any good at all. And she told her son, her oldest son, I want you to stand at the door and do not let him back into my room. And then she went into meditation and into prayer. And she said, Father, I know I have more to do. I know that you are with me. I know that your life is my life, that your energy flows through my body. And I now declare that the person I need to facilitate my healing is even right now here in this hospital. And I thank you, God. She finished her prayer, and it wasn't 2 minutes later before a doctor walked into her room. And he was dressed in scrubs. He had obviously just come from the operating room. And he said, excuse me. He said, I'm sorry to bother you. I was on my way down to the cafeteria for a cup of coffee, and something said to walk down this corridor. And that something told me to enter your room. And so he sat down and started talking to her and looked at her chart and everything. And he said, you know, there is a procedure that is pretty new, but it is a procedure that I believe can save your life. And it just so happens it's a procedure I specialize in. And he said, and I was trained by the surgeon who came up with this procedure. So if your situation is beyond what I can do, I know somebody who can do it. He says, but I think I can do it. And he performed the procedure, and she walked out of the hospital. How powerful is prayer? She wasn't a Unity minister yet. She hadn't even really found Unity yet at that point. But something inside of her was awakening. So after that, she began studying Unity principles, and she became friends with Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman. And Johnny Coleman convinced her to apply to Unity School and become a Unity minister. So she did that, of course, and graduated and was ordained and moved back to California, where she founded a church in Los Angeles. I love the name of her church. It's kind of a mouthful, but the name of her church is Understanding Principles for Better Living Church. She calls it the Up Church for short. Started with 8 people in her living room. And she stressed from the very beginning that her church was different. Her church was grounded in spiritual principles, not religion. She was a Unity minister. She said this one time early on in her ministry: the reason for the name of our church is that God has left for us a set of principles that lead to a life of abundance, faith, love, strength, wisdom. And she went on to name the rest of the 12 powers. Well, within a few years, her church had grown from 8 people in her living room to 350 people on a Sunday. Her music team included the likes of Barry White and Smokey Robinson. Can you imagine them singing with us every Sunday? They'd be almost as good as Gary, Jerry, and John. Today, the Up Church has 3 campuses. And before COVID, they were averaging over 4,000 people on a Sunday. Even though she's been gone for 3 years, her ministry is still very much alive. But most important is what she taught. I'd like to share with you one of the teachings that she had. You know, in preparing for this, I watched a lot of videos of her teachings. And she's a lot more laid back than Dr. Johnny Coleman was. She wasn't, jumping up and, passionate. She was usually sat in a chair and just had a conversation, much like she was talking to in a living room. In fact, there's times where she'll be holding the mic and she'll go, "Are you all awake? Are you listening? Is anybody out there?" And she'd turn around and say, "Is my mic on? Are they out there?" She must have been practicing for the days when we'd be doing it virtually. Is my mic on? But she may not have been passionate, but she had an energy and a depth of teaching that resonates, that grabs you. And so, in one of her lessons, perhaps because she had had several healing experiences in her own life, but in one of her lessons, she used the story from Luke about the woman who had been bleeding for many, many years and was healed by touching the hem of Jesus' garment. And I'm going to share that clip with you right now.
All right. Now, there was a lady, this is from the Bible, and Cherie is going to give you another example. This was from a human being, a lady. And Jesus came to town, and he's marching, and the people are talking to him, and the people are singing, and they're shouting, and they're happy to be there. And she is pushing her way through the crowd. Nobody's helping her through the crowd. She's just pushing her way through the crowd. She means to see Jesus. And you've been to parades before. You know how the street is crowded and you can't get by, and people won't let you pass, and somebody's taller than you so you can't see over it, and such things as that. And she stops and she says, "If I can just touch the hem of his garment." She didn't say if I could talk to him or if he'll touch me. If he sees the shape I'm in, he'll have empathy for me and he'll help me. She didn't say any of that. She said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment. That's got to be hard for her. She's bleeding. Bending over if you're bleeding is not the thing to do. But she has so much faith that she wants to be able just to touch the hem of his garment. And she knows, she don't think, she don't hope, she don't wish. The statement is, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I know. Hello in here. Now, she wanders around, gets and pushes her way through, and she touches the hem of his garment. And Jesus said, somebody touch me. Peter said, please, Jesus. All these people in here, a whole lot of people didn't touch you. He says, no, somebody touched me. And he begins to look around. And he looks around, he looks at the crowd is there, he looks. And finally he sees her. And he says, by your faith, you have been healed. He didn't know her. She wasn't put in the crowd to give him some power, some show businessness. That's the word I was looking for, thank you. It wasn't staged. It had to do with this woman bleeding so, had been for years. I don't remember how many years, doesn't make any difference. Bleeding so that she knows that she's got to get to a healing force. Now, understand all the people around there that are cheering him don't really believe in him. It's a parade. You know how you go to the parade? You must have been to a parade somewhere at some time. And everybody's hollering and the music's playing and the dancing and the carrying on. For him to reach down to that particular lady in the midst of the ladies, for her to say that she knew, she didn't say, I hope. She said, I know if I can just touch the hem of his garment, it's possible for us to touch the hem of his garment. If we take this thing that's in our subconscious mind and
a little clip of Della Reese. And this teaching's an important teaching on a lot of levels. One of the things that Della Reese was very adamant about was that we are responsible for our spirituality, nobody else. It is up to us to touch that thing within that she was mentioning there at the end. And what is that? Well, we know what it is. It's the Christ within. Touching the hem of the garment for us is a symbol of touching that Christ power, that Christ presence that is within us. Did you notice that she emphasized what Jesus said to her? He said, your faith has made you whole. He didn't say, I healed you. He said, your faith has made you whole. The whole teaching of unity, the whole teaching of the up church, the whole teaching of New Thought, the whole teaching of Jesus was that our faith is what makes us whole. Our faith is what lifts us up out of our circumstances. Our faith is what allows us to overcome. Not just faith in somebody who lived a long time ago, but faith in the power that Jesus and the Buddha and all the great masters and teachers brought to us, that teaching that says you have within you what is needed. But something gets in the way. And Della's, if the rest of that clip, she talks about what gets in the way. And what gets in the way, and what got in her way in the beginning, in the early days of her life that she worked through and grew beyond, was those little things that we store in subconscious, the messages we hear as children. She talked about how crawling on a floor in her home, she would hear her parents and her aunts and uncles and grandparents talking, and she didn't know what the messages were that she was picking up. But they were messages. And though she had no specific memory, she knew they were messages that were typical of so many that we all hear. Oh, we can't do that. Well, that's not possible. We don't have the money. We don't have the education. We're the wrong color. We can't do that. And that went into her subconscious. But one of the things she realized, and one of the things she always stressed through her work, even through her TV show, was that we have the power to overcome those blockages. And we don't even have to know specifically what they are. That's the power of this teaching. That we don't have to know exactly what that message was if we know that it's there and that we can get it out. And even in getting it out, we don't have to know. We can do the visualization of clearing out the subconscious. We do that with our burning bowl. That's a lot of what the burning bowl is all about. Clearing that out, making room for a greater truth. We have two powers that we use, two powers that Della, Reese, and so many others modeled throughout their lives and taught throughout their lives. The first, of course, is the power of faith. And Della said, the power of faith is knowing what you know. Knowing that what you know is the truth. That song that the guy sang earlier about knowing what we believe. Not just knowing it intellectually, but knowing it deep down. Knowing that regardless of what messages we grew up with, regardless of what our circumstances were, faith tells us that we are more than that. That those cannot hold us back unless we allow them to. And knowing that, then we can heal. Then we can push through the crowd of all those error thoughts. Those error thoughts that say, oh, look, there goes a teacher, there goes a Messiah. Cool. And then go back about their daily lives. But the truth is that part of our spirit that fights its way through the crowd. I love her visualization there. Fighting through the crowd just to get to the Christ, to touch it, to touch him. Knowing that that's all that was needed. So we fight our way through meditation, through affirmation, through affirmative prayer, through all of the tools that we use to get to that place where we touch the truth, the Christ that is within us. And then we are healed. The power goes out from that, and we are healed. And the second power we use is the power of renunciation. Della Reese was big on the 12 powers. She really was. And she talked a lot about faith and renunciation. And renunciation is what we use to get rid of it. It's that thing that we use to say, this no longer has power over me. These messages that were stored in my subconscious from childhood have no value anymore. I am free. Because as long as those original error messages are inside of our subconscious, our very life energy bleeds out and robs us of the energy that we need to create the life that God sees for us. Della Reese obviously began to become aware of that life that God saw for her at a very young age. But she had work to do to find it. She had work to do to uncover it, to get rid of those error messages, to fight the way through the crowd of thinking that had been planted in her mind through the years. She wasn't unique in that. She was unique in the fact that she did choose to fight through those thoughts, to fight through those beliefs, to fight through what society was telling her about her because of the color of her skin. She knew that the error messages could be ferreted out and released. And she learned to use the unity principles that we use. I have to share with you, though, the story of the final conversation she had with Dr. Johnny Coleman that convinced her to apply to ministerial school. She'd been studying unity principles for a while, and she was at the funeral of one of her students that she had been teaching, who had passed. And this man's wife asked her to speak at the funeral. And so the time came, she got up and she spoke like a unity minister, although she wasn't one yet, and shared our beliefs about transition and what happens after we die. And That poem that many of you may be familiar with about being a ship, leaving one shore and arriving at the other. And there's people standing on the shore who've gone before, waiting. And then the minister who was doing the funeral gets up and says, goes into this, well, that could be you laying there. You better prepare. You better get right with Jesus, all that kind of stuff. And the lady whose husband it was that had passed got up and told the minister to get out of the service and don't ever come back. And then turned to Della and said, I'd like you to do the graveside. And Della said, okay. And she shared this story on Unity Radio in 2017. And so she went out and she did what she thought she should do at the graveside. And after she got home later that night, she was thinking about it. And the more she thought about it, the more those error messages came out of her subconscious. Who are you to think you can do that? Do you really think you did that right? And so she called Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman and said, Johnny, I don't know what I did. I don't think I did it right. I don't think I planted him right. That's what she said. She does have a sense of humor. And Reverend Coleman said, breathe, breathe. I don't think you did anything wrong. But to ease your mind, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go back out to that cemetery tonight. And I want you to stand there and I want you to say these words. And she told her what to say and everything. And then it'll be okay. She did that for Della Reese, not for the deceased. But she went out and she did that. And she got home that night and she laid awake that night thinking. And she said, if I am going to walk this spiritual path, then I need to go deeper. I need to know more. I need to become a minister. And she called Johnny Coleman, and Johnny Coleman said, yes, by all means, apply, and the rest is history. But that's what faith does. Faith tells us that we can do what we need to do, even if we've never done it before, even if we don't know that we're doing it right. That allows us to become angels for others. Della Reese was an angel. Her hit TV show was touched by an angel. How many people did she touch as that angel? How many lives did she bless? Not just through the TV show, but through everything else she did. How many people she mentored? I was astounded at the number of people who wrote on her Facebook page and on her website when she made her transition that she had mentored through the years, that she had inspired. She was truly an angel who, through her TV show and through her teachings, touched many, many people. And I hope her story inspires all of us to become angels to all whom we touch. Happy Valentine's Day.
Need to unmute. I was saying thank you. I love hearing this history of some of our top leaders and inspiring messages. And I want to give thanks for that. I invite you to give thanks for that as we enter our time of sacred exchange. This is our opportunity to bless the gifts that we have to give. And you guys, we need your financial support as well as your prayer support as we move through these tough times of COVID and bad weather. You know, even though we're not able to be in the church, the need is still there to have our building, and that does come with expenses. So we give thanks in advance for the thanks you are sharing today. And the ways to do that, again, visit unityofjoplin.org, hit the donate button in the upper right-hand corner. You can quickly and safely do it by texting GIVE to the number on the screen, or just sending us a good old-fashioned check. It all counts, and we appreciate each expression. And we want to really appreciate that today with our prosperity blessing. So if you just symbolically hold those gifts in your hands, and let's affirm that in a universe overflowing with the allness of God, all of the needs of unity of Joplin and those we serve are bountifully met from every direction, known and unknown, expected and unexpected. Our abundant good is here now. We say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. And we affirm that these tithes and offerings are dedicated to the will and work of Spirit through unity of Joplin for the highest good of all. And so it is. Thanks, you guys. We do appreciate your tithes. We really do. And we use those in so many ways that really do help the community. So keep giving, keep loving, keep sharing. And we'd love to have a chance to share with you on our Zoom room, hear how things are going for you. If you're new to Unity of Joplin, welcome. We are so grateful you stopped by. You can always keep up with us through our website, unityofjoplin.org, or the Facebook page. There's always something going on around here, and we would be happy to have you be part of it. And we do bless our children, and not just the physical ones coming to our church, but our inner child as well. And I know Sam was talking on the chat that he can't wait to get back to church in person so he can help greet you. Oh my gosh, Sam, we affirm that with you. We support you in that vision, and it's coming soon. It really is. But for now, let's just send that virtual blessing to Sam, to his friends, and to the inner child within. Yes, lots of love. Thank you, Gordon. Children, you are a perfect child of God, and God and I love you just the way you are. Thank you, thank you. And now we'll have our peace song and our prayer for protection.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as Creator, we are family. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen.